In the heart of the mountains, situated between rolling hills, there was a tiny village called Asp. The village thrived under the rule of King Luke, a wise and just leader who was beloved by his people. He had one daughter, Princess Cami, whose beauty and cheerful spirit were known throughout the land. But there was one thing that set Princess Cami apart: she was born crippled. No man wished to marry her, and this weighed heavily on the princess, especially after the tragedy that befell her family. One fateful year, a strange illness swept through the village and claimed the lives of both King Luke and Prince Jonathan, her only brother and the rightful heir to the throne. The village was plunged into mourning, and the once happy and bustling palace became a shadow of its former self. Only Princess Cami and her mother, Queen Agatha, remained alive. As tradition dictated, the throne could not stay empty for long. However, the customs of Asp were strict. An unmarried woman could not ascend to the throne, and Cami, being the only surviving child, could not rule. Furthermore, her disability made the situation even more complicated. The elders of the village crowned Cami's uncle, Malaki, as the temporary king, with the understanding that Cami would marry soon, reclaiming her father's throne. But no man wanted to marry a crippled woman, and as the days passed, it became clear that her uncle Malaki had no intention of stepping aside. His temporary reign was in danger of becoming permanent, and Cami feared her father's legacy would be lost forever. Cami was heartbroken. Though she was passionate about her people and deeply loved her village, she felt helpless. The villagers whispered about her behind her back, some even believing the cruel rumors that her mother, Queen Agatha, had caused the deaths of her husband and son through dark magic. Others claimed that Cami's disability was a curse from the gods. These whispers grew louder as time passed, and Cami became more isolated, her mother sinking into grief and despair. One day, determined to do something kind for her mother, Cami decided to visit the village market. She remembered how her father used to buy her mother beautiful jewelry, and she wanted to bring back those memories. Ignoring the stares and whispers, Cami wheeled herself through the village to the merchant's shop. She purchased a stunning set of jewelry and was about to leave when a group of young maidens spotted her. "Look at her. The princess without legs." One of them sneered. "You're just a useless creature, born to bring misery to the village. If you hadn't been born, your father and brother would still be alive." The words cut deep, more painful than any wound. Cami had heard insults before, but never something so cruel. She fought back tears, trying not to show weakness, when suddenly, a voice interrupted the maiden's taunts. "Enough!" a young man shouted. "How dare you speak to someone like that? Have you no decency? No respect for the princess and her family?" The maidens were stunned into silence. They glared at the man, but they could not argue with his conviction. Muttering under their breath, they left in a huff. The young man, dressed in simple clothes with a straw hat and a bag of seeds slung over his shoulder, approached Cami. He kneeled beside her, his voice gentle. "Are you all right, princess?" Cami, still shaken, managed a small nod. "Thank you," she whispered. "No one has ever stood up for me like that." The young man smiled warmly. "My name is Isana, and I believe in treating everyone with kindness. You deserve respect, no matter what others say." Cami looked at him curiously. "Isana, you're a farmer, aren't you?" "Yes, I am," he replied. "Would you like to come to my farm? It's peaceful there, away from all the noise and judgment." Though hesitant at first, Cami agreed. Isana pushed her chair through the village, past the gossiping villagers and into the quiet fields. Under the shade of a large tree, they sat together, talking for hours. Isana told her stories of his life on the farm, about his late father and his mother, who lived in a neighboring village. Cami found herself laughing, something she hadn't done in a long time. Isana's humor and warmth were like a balm to her wounded heart. As the sun began to set, Cami realized how late it was. "Oh no! My mother will be worried," she exclaimed. "Don't worry," Isana said. "I'll take you back to the palace." They returned to the palace just as night fell. Cami thanked Isana for his kindness, promising to meet him again the next day. As she entered the palace, she saw her mother sitting by the window, gazing out into the distance. "Mother, I'm sorry I worried you," Cami said softly. Queen Agatha turned, her eyes filled with sadness. "I thought I lost you too, Cami." Cami wheeled over to her mother, placing a hand on her arm. "I'm here, Mother. And I made a friend today. His name is Isana. He stood up for me when the maidens were being cruel." "A man, you say?" Queen Agatha asked, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Yes, he's a farmer. He's kind and doesn't care about my disability. I plan to see him again tomorrow," Cami said, smiling. Queen Agatha smiled for the first time in a long while. "I'm glad you've made a friend, my dear. But be careful. Not everyone is as they seem. Go with a guard tomorrow, and don't stay out too late." The next day, Cami met Isana again, and they spent the day together, laughing and sharing stories. As the days turned into weeks, their friendship grew stronger. Cami found herself looking forward to their meetings, and she realized that Isana was the first person, aside from her father and brother, who truly saw her for who she was, not for her disability. But not everyone was pleased with Cami's new friendship. Her uncle, King Malaki, grew suspicious. He sent a guard to follow Cami, and when he learned that her friend was a simple farmer, he confronted her. "You cannot marry a peasant, Cami," King Malaki barked. "It would be an insult to our family." Cami, however, stood her ground. "I never said I would marry him, uncle. But I will choose my own path. My father believed in treating all people with respect, and so do I." Despite her uncle's protests, Cami continued to see Isana, and their bond deepened. Isana taught her about farming, and together they devised a plan to help the farmers who were struggling with drought. Cami presented the idea to her uncle, suggesting that the village build irrigation channels from the river to the fields. Though initially dismissive, King Malaki eventually agreed, and the plan was set in motion. The villagers began to see Cami in a new light. She wasn't just the crippled princess they saw: her passion for helping the village, her intelligence, and her kindness. Slowly, their attitudes began to change. One day, as Cami and Isana sat under their favorite tree, Isana turned to her. "Cami, you have given me so much joy. I don't care what others think. I would be honored to marry you, if you'll have me." Tears filled Cami's eyes, but this time they were tears of happiness. "Yes, Isana. I would be honored to marry you." With Isana by her side, Cami reclaimed her place as the rightful ruler of Asp. Her uncle stepped down, and the villagers celebrated their new queen, who had proven that true strength comes not from physical ability, but from the heart. And so, Princess Cami, once a crippled girl that no man wanted to marry, became Queen Cami, loved and respected by all. She ruled with wisdom, compassion, and Isana by her side, the farmer who had seen her true worth. Together, they restored peace and prosperity to Asp, leaving a legacy that would be remembered for generations to come.